But yeah, hopefully this, oh my gosh, where does the time go? I got some calls to make today. I got some other stuff to do. I got some jobs to apply for. I'm excited. I am a little nervous because I know that, things are going to pick up and move as soon as I do this, but I can't delay it anymore. And I don't really want to either. I am just like, I guess the nervousness is like, I just hope I find something that I like, but I know I will. So that's a whole bunch of cards. I see the Nine of Cups though. So here are the cards. Oh, I got to take them because that's a 999. Bottom of the deck is the Hierophant, the Holy Priest, the High Priest. Yeah, it's the High Priest in this deck, Hierophant. Because we got a 999 right here. And then a 10. Oh, goodness. Oh, goodness. Oof. Okay, this will be heavy. I don't think this will end well. Oh, I like how this starts, though. So we have the Five of Pentacles in the shadow side, which is double energy. Now, the Five of Pentacles in the shadow side is how we leave ourselves out in the cold in some ways. And because we leave ourselves out in the cold, it makes us susceptible to this shadow side energy that lives out in the cold. It's like back in the days, and even now, but before you have like street lights, if all you have is like the candles inside, then the darkness is creeping outside. And if you're stuck outside in the cold, then that's when the darkness can whisper things into your ear, and it can convince you of things that are not true. Also, if you struggle with like addiction or illusion or anything like that, I feel like you could go through, whatever program you want to. You could get a patch or whatever, or you could just look at the reason why you feel this way. Because a lot of times we seek this energy because we feel like this. And if you take care of why you feel like this, then this energy, it naturally sort of just decreases, right? A lot of times if we seek out devil energy, we're sort of coping for something, and you can cope in any number of ways. But if an opportunity is provided to you to no longer have to cope because you deal with the situation, then maybe consider dealing with the situation, especially in times like this. Because then it'll make distancing yourself from devil energy easier when you can take care of, again, the reason why you're feeling isolated and alone and why you're prey to this energy anyway. Because it's like, if you're inside and if you're having a good time and you're actually loving life, then this energy has harder access to you. And some people could be like externally happy, but internally feeling this. And that's why even people who do have everything that they could ever want still turn to stuff like this, because there's an internal void or an internal something that's not being filled or fulfilled. And we already looked at with the Sun card and with the baby on its back and connected to Temperance, that inner child healing, that root healing, that healing of all of those things, and further clarified by the Hermit, that lie at our very foundation and beneath the foundation, because we've just trampled on it for so long, walking the same beaten paths in life. Now we can't separate our foundation from our not foundation. And that's when the spiritual deprivation tank comes into play, where it separates you. That's the Ace of Essences. It separates you. It separates your light, your dark, and then the stuff that other people put in you, and then the BS that other people put in you. There's some stuff that people put in you that may not necessarily be that bad. But then there's like a whole bunch of toxic BS. Other people's toxic BS, because you have your own toxic BS. Some of it attached to your dark, some of it maybe even attached to your light that you have to work through within yourself, but there's extra baggage that you don't need to carry. And then we have Magician and Death, right? Now, Magician and Death, to me, says that if you manifest in, depending on what you're manifesting, if you're working with the divine and you're manifesting something, it puts you in a position to receive it. And so it may actually come with transformation to get you to get it, or to get you to be worthy of it. It's the way you get there. Death is the way you get there. right? And again, in this card, I don't see the scythe either. Well, let me make sure before I just say I don't see it. Girl, I've never noticed this. Wow, wow. We're going to pull around the sun card. Because I've never, Knight of Cups, darn it, you got me excited. I've never noticed that before, ever. I've never, ever, ever noticed that before. And when I tell y'all what this is, y'all might be like, oh my gosh. Y'all might just be like, okay, Patrick. And like, what does that mean? Or, I mean, if you're watching this, then I guess you are watching this, so. Still with Temperance, but now with the Chariot. Also, now the sun isn't facing Temperance anymore. So I love this energy because this means that the sun has come for Temperance and it has gone beyond, right? Especially since we saw it this way first and then this way. That means the sun came in. Hopefully it's not passing us up, right? Hopefully we did everything that we need to do in this cycle. If not, then we'll hit it the next cycle. But now the sun is leaving Temperance, and y'all see where it's going? It's actually meeting up. It's meeting up with the Chariot. The sun is leaving Temperance and going towards the Chariot. That is amazing. That's rapid. That is rapid. But the reason why I pulled this card is because on the Legacy channel, I'm pretty sure, I'm like 99% sure it was the Legacy channel when I did the reading. It was card flow, yeah, because I put the little chili peppers on there. It's the card flow video. Because in the card flow video, in the Eight of Pentacles, we saw a child observe on the back of the Eight of Pentacles in the Vice Versa Tarot. We saw a child observing the master. And I was like, I don't know if this is his apprentice or if this is like our inner child being shown a vision of what our future will be if we don't shape up. And then the Sun card came out later. But in that card, it wasn't a baby. And he was no longer like red. Red is the inner child. It's innocence, right? So the red is like, it's not like necessarily newborn baby. It's kind of sort of like kid, like after toddler, between toddler and like preteen. And he was wearing the red clothes, or he was wearing red, right? And he was no longer on the back of the sun. And I was like, and I know some people go from blonde when they're younger to brunette when they grow up. So I was like, so it's almost like this kid is that kid a little bit older, or it could be a different version of that kid, or it could be it's how it came up. Okay, this kid is that kid. And then death, right after the Sun card, I believe, death came out. And in death, the dude that the horse was looking at looked like a merchant, like a traveling merchant, because I was like, these people are in the same place, but one of them is dressed a lot heavier than the other. And I was like, oh, this is the traveling merchant. Okay, so that's what the master is. So he makes his own wares and then he travels the world and he peddles them. And the child that saw him do that, what became the man that the horse of death was looking at. Like, I thought I already showed you this vision and you said that this was a path that you didn't want. What are you doing? Get your life together. Get back on the path that you wanted. Like, I already told you that this isn't how this is going to work. Did you think that? Anyway, don't matter. I'm bringing this up because in the death card, I've never seen this. But there's someone who looks like a child who's wearing something similar-ish. Okay, maybe not extremely similar. But he's offering a bouquet of white flowers up to the horse of death. And in this death card, the horse has red eyes. Because they're not looking. The horse has red eyes and death has a flaming head. Whereas in the other card, the horse had eyes on fire. And again, I'm not seeing the scythe in this card either. I'm not seeing his weapon. And when I don't see the weapon of death, to me, now that means that we have to transform it within ourselves. Like the energy of death can illuminate it to us, but we have to do the actual transformation ourselves right now. Because he ain't got his weapon. All he got is a flag. All he can do is bring you a vision of doom and gloom of what happens if you don't change. Originally, I said that the horses of the sun and death were the same. But now it's like the horse of the sun only brings good visions and the horse of death only brings bad visions. And both of them kind of sort of serve the same functionality. Sometimes, and some people are more motivated by what they don't want than what they do, right? Some people can be sort of scared straight, right? And then look, here's the chariot with the dark horse and the light horse. Again, it's like same charioteer. They might go about it in different directions, but it's the same charioteer. They both serve the same, both can serve the same purpose and function. But again, like here's this little dude offering this bouquet up to the horse of death. There he is. Oh man, it ain't gonna focus. But I don't know. For some reason, maybe it was his hair, and he's offering the flowers to death. And again, the horse ain't even looking at him now. And so that's why the eyes are just red and not on fire. It's almost like the eyes sort of like fire up when they look at the person to peer into their soul. Oh, there's a preview of the end. But if that's the case, then this, we didn't have to wait until the child was a full grown man to revisit the energy of death. That feels like and again, if this resonates, then that probably is the case. It's like, I don't want to have to get to the end of that road to realize that I don't want to live it. I'd rather switch up and change up the game now. I'd rather do the things that I need to do now. And again, one of the things that will make it easiest to do that is to bring yourself from out in the cold. Do that inner child healing, do that root healing, sift through the ugly stuff. Now, I feel like that was a lot easier to say when the world wasn't falling apart and restructuring itself, because now there's a whole bunch of stuff. If you're trying to be vulnerable now, there's a whole bunch of stuff waiting out there. But also, you are protected. So it's whatever you want to do. So after the magician and death, and again, magician and death, it's the energy of the horse of death, the horse of transformation, being the vehicle that gets us to the place of the things that we're manifesting. And it puts us in our own power, right? That's why death isn't bringing the scythe, because the scythe is one of the magician's tools. And we have to do that transformation ourselves because it's part of what we're learning in Magician Academy. Think of the world right now as Magician Academy. And now we have 3 cards. And this is the reason why I said I had to take it, because the 9 of Pentacles, the 9 of Cups, and the 9 of Swords all came out together. 9 of Pentacles, 9 of Cups, 9 of Swords. So it's like 9 of Pentacles. You were working hard to give yourself a solid foundation and to be good. 9 of Cups. After you had that solid foundation, you were healed enough within you that you could begin to want and desire the things that a lesser healed you wouldn't want, right? But now the 9 of Swords is coming in. And the 9 of Swords speaks to all that must be done to claim what it is that you actually want. And this energy is the same. It's similar to this energy, but it's different here because what's changing is your foundation, right? And this foundation can only change. I love how I laid these out because I've been going like, so we have 1 card extra. So it's like stepping stone. And since I had 3 in this round, I couldn't separate the 9s. That's how we ended up with this devil energy, magician, 9 of Pentacles. Because again, it's like, because we were left out in the cold, we adopted these sort of mental and behavioral patterns where we wanted to be able to not depend on anybody else. It's like instead of bringing ourselves in from the cold in the past, all we did was like bring blankets outside. And bringing blankets outside is fine, but you're still in the dark. And when you're in the dark, you're prey to this energy. And so now we create this foundation, we create this stability where we're perfectly fine, sort of on our own or with no vulnerability and limited access to other people. But then this transformation begins to happen and we start to want something more. And because we want something more, we have to bring ourselves inside. And that's what causes this Nine of Swords energy, because we finally found peace and stability within ourselves. But this is an impenetrable energy that we need to let go of, right? Because if you want to go from the Nine of Pentacles to the Ten of Pentacles, it involves more than just you. And if your defenses are so iron tight that you can't really open up to somebody else, then that's the thing that you're manifesting that's going to cause some transformation. And then the last card is the Ten of Swords. But even in this Ten of Swords state, we see the owl up there. The owl is watching, right? We have the eyes of the owl, and then we have the eyes of death. That's just floating out here. And like, there's nothing attached to this card because all of the nines came out together. And so maybe there is a period of you feeling like, it's like you may be feeling out in the cold now, but at least when you were out in the cold before, you didn't have 10 swords in your back. But it's a time to learn. And again, you're not actually alone, but the owl is wise enough to know that if they interfere or if they help too much, it's going to completely, ultimately, at the end of the day, it's going to take away from the place and the position that it is that you want to be, right? If you want a 10 of Pentacles, if you want a 10 of Cups, you have to get past the 9 of Pentacles and the 9 of Cups. And sometimes to get the 10 of Pentacles and the 10 of Cups, we have to go through the 10 of Swords and the 10 of Wands first. So now we got to look at the 10 of Wands. I don't think I saw it, so we'll start like halfway through. But I could have, honestly. Honestly, I could have, because I wasn't really looking at it. Well, look, there's the 10 of Cups. 10 of Cups is in between the Ace of Swords and the 8 of Pentacles. And look, there we see our 8 of Pentacles. And here's the child, like, I don't want to live that life. I want my 10 of Cups. I don't want to be a lonely traveling merchant. Because at the end of the merchant's life, we saw the 4 of Swords where he made it. He was materially successful, but he was like, you know, falling asleep amidst all of his sort of luxury, but not really having anyone to share it with. Page of Swords and the 5 of Swords. That's 6 swords. So the 6 swords around this 10 of Wands, it's knowing which battles are worth fighting and which battles aren't worth fighting, honestly. And that might be a new sort of way of handling things for some folks, right? You could be the type of person that either A, never fought your own battles, so you were always kind of passive and just let people do whatever they wanted, or you were like hyper defensive and you fought everything, regardless of if it really deserved your attention or not. And both of those, regardless of the scale that you sort of fit on, death or devil energy can use that to keep you stuck. Because either devil energy, like if you're super passive, it's going to send you a whole bunch of people that are going to keep you stuck and you'll never say anything. Or if you're super, like if you're hyper aggressive or hyper defensive, then it'll send you a whole bunch of people on nonsense that it's like you waste more time and energy and effort arguing with them than you do like actually moving forward with whatever it is that you need. Again, either way, there's going to be a need to handle and address this conflict in a brand new way that actually like gives you the 6 of Swords movement. And that's going to be what helps it, or what makes it easier to drop these burdens as well. Honestly, with these coming out around the 10 of Wands, it could be the case that it's like, it could be the case that Man, I forget. With all these swords coming out with the Ten of Wands, like that could be sort of this link between these two. Like the Ten of Swords energy and the Ten of Wands energy could be one and the same, or they can have a lot of overlap. Um, so I actually like this. I like this. I'm liking this Queen of Cups energy so far. I ain't like yelling at people and screaming. This is a lot for a final message, but I actually want to take a picture of this and set it as the thumbnail. Here's my phone. I want to use this as the thumbnail. Girl, I got a missed call, no caller ID. And my phone was still in silence from last night, so I didn't even hear it. There's going to be a little bit of shadow in this picture, but that's fine. So yeah, I love this. I feel like if you aren't necessarily where that first spread was, then this could be for you. This is the steps that you can sort of ascend. Because I feel like this is how we approach this space, but this is going to be how we get out of it. Because first, we got to do all of this, right? And this involves the vulnerability and gathering the strength to open up. And then we have to allow ourselves to transform to manifest something new. And that was that sort of pure intention-y type of part where there were things that we didn't know were sort of like limiting or blocking or affecting us. Now with this transformation, we'll understand and we can face this shadow side energy and bring ourselves from out in the cold. And once we do that, that's the horse of the sun moving toward the horses of the chariot. And this could be Apollo. And Apollo carried the sun around the earth on his chariot. And there's also an understanding of the light and the dark. And again, that goes back to the spiritual deprivation tank. When there is some darkness within you that is yours, that is a part of you, that isn't to be demonized or ostracized or cast aside. Because when you do that to yourself, again, it makes you more prime for this energy to come in, for devil energy, shadow side energy to come in. I feel like I should like mention the cards more just in case, because these go for a while. So if you just playing it and all you hear is this energy, that energy, this energy, then you don't even know what I'm talking about. It's like, wait, I gotta watch and see what he's talking about. But it makes you more susceptible to devil energy when you can't accept your own darkness. And it ain't to live in your darkness, but it's to have a balance to move forward with that chariot energy. You got to get the dark horse and the light horse on the same page and moving in the same direction. Maybe that's why Pisces energy is, and the energy of the 12th house is the house of undoing. And it can be so chaotic and so heavy into illusion and also so heavy into forming addiction, right? Because almost like Sagittarius, but not quite. Pisces is a very fantastic energy, and the world that most of us live in is too mundane. And so Pisces seeks the fulfillment of that fantasy in other substances, or it seeks an altered state of mind to interact with the world outside how we would prefer to interact with it on the inside and through the space of that fantasy, right? And again, because of the disparities, Pisces can seek substances primarily that alter the state of mind. And again, I say that because the two fish are tied together and they're moving in opposite directions. And so it just spirals because they never get on the same page. It's like this one always going that way, this one always going that way. And since they're tied together, they just end up creating these circles and they just spiral and they don't go anywhere. Well, now the chariot is on the ground. Now the sun's like, well, where am I going? Oh, now the sun is coming for that devil energy. And when they hit here, that's when we can attach, we can harness, or we can, is it the harness? We can, when you strap horses together, we can strap these two horses together to have that chariot to move forward. And you can see, like, oh my gosh, I love that. I never realized that. Look at that. Look at the sources of light and how they shine out in different directions. And then we have the chariot where the horses move in different directions. We got to get these energies on the same page. I love that I just accidentally knocked the chariot off of the table. And now the magician is like, now death is coming to transform the magician. It's coming to transform the things that we manifest in the way that we go about getting them. I love that too. Oh, I love how everything just shifted. This is how real life works, honestly. When you can shift your mindset and your perspective, and if you, with that 9 of Wands energy, stand strong in it, this is how things can kind of sort of shift and change and move. And it gets you to the point where you can balance these energies and have this energy where you can actually move forward. But yeah, with Pisces, it's like, since they're always swimming in different directions, they keep creating this vortex of chaos. But when you get the fish to swim in the same direction, even if they're tied together, that's when you get movement and you can go anywhere you want to go. But as long as they're working against each other, you'll never get anywhere. And again, you'll continue to circle that drain. And I have been seeing that card a lot in the Diceology. A shift in the winds, a leaf caught in an eddy, and I can't remember the last one. But that's the leaf caught in an eddy. Even though times are changing, you're not changing with the times. You're keeping this polarity. It's like everything is shifting and changing, but you're keeping the same polarity. And since you're keeping the same polarity, it keeps you in this sort of leaf caught in an eddy chaos. But if you allow the shifting winds to blow through and change how you operate, it's like the winds will change the direction of one of these fish to the point where, again, they start moving in the same direction, and then you can like take off and you can chariot, right? So this was a lot for final message. So I am actually going to shuffle everything back out one more time. But that's why I love doing this, because it gives, if there's anything that needs to be said, it gives an extra opportunity. And then it, you know, it just makes it feel like I'm really clearing out all the energy of this before I go into the next thing. So again, this is a little bit longer than I thought, but that's fine. It's still early enough in the day. I do need to start making these calls. So. Okay. So final message, please. I see the lovers. Girl, this is so much. It's so much. Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck. This is about how everything that we want and desire is changing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Boom. At the heart of all of this is the 9 of Cups, with the Page of Wands, and the Ace of Pentacles is behind the Page of Wands, with the Page of Wands at the bottom of the deck again. It's a change, oops, and the 9 of Swords is behind this Ace of Pentacles because, oh my gosh, all of these cards. Fine, I'll just put them on the table. Here's the Page of Wands. Behind the Page of Wands is the Ace of Pentacles, the Knight of Wands, and the 2 of Swords. We can see this energy now. Again, evidenced by this and this. And so now we want to move forward, but we don't necessarily know how. And because we want to move forward, but we're not moving forward, it's leaving us in this 9 of Swords. Now it's putting us in a different 9 of Swords state. And it's because we're not doing what it is that we're being guided and led to do. Now, again, you have to use your own personal discernment to know, or you have to listen to the voice. You have to listen to your heart and the voice of spirit enough to know when the time for you to move is. But honestly, what it's doing, it's the pot boiling over. And when the pot is boiling over, girl, don't let double energy come in and tell you that you ain't good enough. Okay, so There's actually a spread in this book for the magical dimensions that I want to use because I believe it's 7 cards and I love it. Actually, that's like the half moon though. And so we may modify it a little bit. No, it is actually this. And look, it's laid out in a similar way. Not the exact same way, but a similar way. I mean, I guess all I got to do is this. And you see it's like a sun or a star. This isn't the half moon, by the way. This is the star key formation. So it is the star. And then the half moon key formation is different. Is there a solar key? Nope. But I guess the sun is a star. So, hey. So card number 1, this is the flicker. The flicker is our desires, and it's what we want. And then we have this page of wands. It's like, oh, I'm going to go for it. I want it. And then we see right here, there's the 2 of swords after the 9 of wands. So we ain't actually doing it yet. But that's fine. As long as we don't, like, when the moment is right, we'll know. That's the flicker. This is the first key insight of the pulse and energy surrounding the entire issue. The energy surrounding the entire issue is your heart's desires. Key 2 is the spark, the second key insight needed to illuminate the situation. This is our starting point, and this will illuminate the situation. We have the Ace of Swords. We have that clarity, which I absolutely love. Ace of Swords could also be cutting the ties that we have with that. It's not cutting it itself, but it's giving us the information to cut the ties with that shadow side energy. Because it's like once we cut our shadow from the collective shadow or the devil shadow, then we can balance it with our own light. But we do have to take responsibility for that energy in ourselves. So it ain't necessarily super easy. But this is the first key insight. Technically the second key insight. But this is what illuminates the situation, and we got the Ace of Swords. So that's a lot of illumination. Next is ignite, the third key insight. This is your initiative fire, momentum, and motivational key. So the initial fire, momentum, and motivational key is the 10 of Cups. And I love that. There's another 10. I almost went to go pull around the 10 of Cups and the 10 of Pentacles, but I was like, that's too much. But here's the 10 of Cups. And so here's the Ace of Swords insight, the 10 of Cups, here's the 9. So also with this Ace of Swords comes this understanding of what we need to do to go from the 9 to the 10. Maybe not necessarily. Maybe at first it's just realizing the 10 for what it is with this Ace of Swords. Maybe things were too chaotic for us to see it clearly before, but the Ace of Swords is clearing it all up. And then after the fog blows out, and yeah, the 10 of Cups is the only card in this deck that got a little bit of water damage. Maybe tears of happiness. But it ain't going to touch the cups, and it ain't going to touch them either. It'll just be on the outside. Or maybe this is the last of the fog clearing away, right? And so since we can't see the end of the rainbow, we don't know how to get there. Because it's almost like that would be the part of the rainbow that's closest to us before the rainbow stretches out into the distance. And so it's like the beginning of the path, we don't know. And maybe that's why this 2 of Swords is down here like, oh, but I don't know how to get there, or someone tell me how to do it. But this is our initial fire. I love that. Because, I mean, it's like, what else would be after the 9 of Cups to get you to move but the 10? Key 4 is blaze. It's the 4th key insight necessary for creating positive change on your quest. So this is how we create positive change. And the card is death. The card of change itself. Just change everything. Maybe death itself came out because there is so much that needs to be changed. But instead of change, I'm honestly feeling just like liberate. Instead of, you know, oh, snap. Man. I think this is more liberation than I mean, it's both. It's transformation and liberation. Right? Because there are some things, there are attachments that you need to cut to be vulnerable and open enough for another energy to come in and to form these mutual bonds. And that's, I mean, you got the energy of death coming in for positive change. But again, death in this deck doesn't have a weapon. So that's something that you got to do. Death ain't coming to do it by itself. Key number 5 is shine. And it's the insight containing the inspiration needed for transformation. I already did that. That was this. No, hold up. This is blaze. Wait. Okay, so this is what's needed. What's necessary for creating positive change is death. Key 5, blaze. 5th key, insight containing the inspiration needed for the transformation. So this is what's necessary. This is the inspiration that makes sure we follow through with this death energy. Okay. And it's the Page of Swords. I love that. Because look, the Ace of Swords, Page of Swords. So the inspiration is the Page of Swords. I mean, that's just like, to me, that's just like, just do it. Death didn't bring a weapon, and here's you using yours with the Page of Swords. The sword could also be a scythe. Especially, so if you have Scorpio in your chart, or if Scorpio is prominent, or even the 8th house, I guess, is prominent in your birth chart, then this may be a power of transformation that you're actually coming into. Right? You may have an ability to transform things, and that's why instead of death coming with a weapon to transform it, death is like, I'll give you the insight and I'll teach you how to see, or like, I can train you on transformation, but I can't do it for you. You have to do this transformation on your own. And so you're like, okay. Or you get to the point where you're just so fed up that you pick up your own sword and you're like, you know what? I'm just going to cut this out myself because I can't continue living like this. And being in this state of indecision is only making me feel worse with this 9 of Swords. I can't keep doing this. Key 6 is radiate. It's the insight of integration. All previous insights are gathered here, and they're gathered in the Magician. Oh my gosh, I love how this is just like working out. This is you using all of the tools at your disposal, like, to do it. You can do it. And again, like I said, death, like it's putting you in a place of power in your own life, not only to get this, because this is just the beginning. It goes off to so much more, or the rest is still unwritten and you can create it how you want. But we also need to align you to these higher timelines to get you to the place where you're not manifesting or creating things that will slow you down, that will deter you, that will break this up after you finally get it, or that you just don't want in general. These are all the tools. And look, 1, 2, 3, 4. The Magician has 4 tools that you need to use at your disposal. I'm gonna read that again. This is amazing. Key 6, radiate, is the 6th key insight of integration. All previous insights are gathered. Key 7 is brilliance. Brilliance is the 7th key insight, raising your situation to full brilliance and wisdom. And that is the 8 of Pentacles. This is what raises a situation to full brilliance and wisdom. I think I might actually download this and then trim the last post shuffle and this one and post it on my legacy channel, because I really like this. Even though, well, yeah, because yeah, I can do that. I can do that. I might keep these in the same video too. So if I do that, hi, I don't know if I'm necessarily going to record like a pre-intro. So I hope you checked the description box, or maybe I'll post a little video before I post this one. I don't know. Or I'll just post it. Shoot, I don't always give an introduction. But this is, and this, if on my legacy channel yesterday, the Eight of Pentacles came out with the Son of Pentacles and the Hierophant. And that was the energy of keeping your nose to the grindstone. Stay on that grind, right? And there was a difference between the Five of Cups horse with its head held down and the Son of Pentacles stag, or that wasn't a stag, it was a buck, a young buck with its nose to the grindstone, because that young buck's going to become a father someday. And this, it's really integrating all of this. There's 8 pentacles plus what lies outside of it, and bringing the situation again to full brilliance. This is amazing. But this is something that we have to do for ourselves. And like, that's why I feel that like certain journeys aren't necessarily gate kept to like the chosen ones or whatever. I don't know if anyone is necessarily chosen. It feels like something that literally anybody could do. But let's just say you're statistically more likely to actually follow through with all of this if you have a certain experiences already coming into the game. And this Page of Swords is the only energy. It should be like this, technically. Because then, you know, it follows the pattern. Yeah, we'll put it like that. Because then that, now it's all encompassing this. This is going to put you in a position to actively and more intentfully and purposefully and intensely pursue what you desire or what you wish for, because this is more desire. This is your wishes, your dreams. So pursue your dreams, and it's going to put you in a position to recognize and do whatever you need to do to transform the situation to make it into what you want it. And it's part of the journey with the Eight of Pentacles. It's part of attaining and achieving self-mastery. And it includes, like, not pictured here is all of the spiritual, mental, and emotional work that goes into this, right? And that's why down here we got 3 suits, and then all the cups came out in the actual reading. Ace of Pentacles, Knight of Wands, 2 of Swords. 1 pentacle, 1 wand, 2 swords. Something has to go. Something has to give. Page of Swords, finally letting one of these swords go and dedicating yourself to mastering it, especially with this one. And so the same, again, it was too many cards for a final message. These cards are sticking a little bit. So I'm going to do one more final message. If I can get just like 1 or 2 cards, then, you know, I'm really... And oneness, balance, patience, and divine masculine is the card at the bottom of the Magical Dimensions Oracle cards and activators. If you resonate to star seeds, then you might want to check out Light Star. She has a channel, Light Star. It's all one word, and she's actually the creator of this deck. If you resonate to that. And she has like light language activations and all kinds of stuff. I mean, I haven't checked her out in a while, if I'm being completely honest. Tower and the Ten of Swords, I think but I mean, last time I knew, she did like, she talked about the different star systems, and she did light language activations for all kinds of things. Then there's the Eight of Pentacles again with that Ten of Swords as well. And the Ten of Swords was what came out sitting all by itself. And we're not actually alone in this, but it is a testing and a trial period. Magician at the bottom. There we go. I did see the Head of Justice. I think something else might have flipped over in here, but we'll see. Maybe not. I'm going to start using that whenever I just want like 1 card, especially when they start sticking. Yeah, there it is. I knew another one flipped over. Thank you. Top of the deck is the Six of Swords. Bottom of the deck is the Eight of Pentacles. Again, this is we're becoming masters, and we can't become masters if the divine is constantly intervening. Page of Swords with the Star. We're hacking through the darkness until we get to our dreams. Honestly, though, it's like if the night sky was a piece of paper and the Page of Swords was crafty, it's like we're cutting through the darkness to reveal these lights that lie beyond. Almost like we're creating constellations in our own life. We're carving through the night sky, carving and cutting through our own darkness. And as we're doing that, I feel like that also in some ways relates back to that shadow side sun chariot energy of once we free our darkness, we get control over it. And if there's something within our own personal night sky, like if we want to start right here, it's like, hey, darkness, clear out that space because we're going to put some light in there. And that's when the darkness and the light are in conversation, they're no longer in competition. So the darkness isn't like, I don't want to yield this space to light. And then the light isn't like, well, if you don't give it to me, then I'm just going to force it. And then it does this thing where we have light and dark competing for the same spaces when it don't got to be like that. It's like, hey, we need a star here, a star there, a star here, and a star there, because within our own personal night sky, we're trying to chart this certain constellation, and this is how we're going to lay the stars out in this space of the sky. And the darkness is like, okay, because I got the whole sky. Like, I'm not really losing out on nothing. And the light is like, cool. But I feel like that's this energy. This is us charting out our own constellations. And I'm going to cut this, and I need to save that because for what I put on the Legacy channel, that'll be the title. Carving out our constellations. What did I just say? Maybe I do be channeling and I don't even know it. Because I just be like, I'll literally be talking and I'll immediately forget what I said. I'll be talking to one of my friends. She was like, oh, say that again so I can write that down. I'm like, I forgot what I just said.